Welcome to TechSpace, and in this tutorial we're going to be going over a thing called the if statement. Basically what the if statement does is it takes two variables and it tests them, or it takes one variable and it can test it, and checks and sees if that statement is true, and if it's true it will run the bit of code inside of it. So if you can see here, my main is clear. We're going to create an if statement. So first I'm going to actually create two variables. Integer x, just set it equal to 20. Integer y, just set it equal to 35. And then we're going to go and create an if statement. So what we do is type if parameters and then a body. So everything, we need parameters and a body, just like a function does. And we don't want any space between the if and the parameters. But basically, inside the parameters, we're going to need to put some type of argument. So the argument is going to be, if x is greater than 35, then I want to run whatever is inside of here. You win the contest. So basically, if x is ends up greater than 35, you can print out this set of code. So if it is, we'll get this set of code, but if not, we won't. So we know that x is not greater than 35, obviously, which I shouldn't have used that example. What we want to do is put x is greater than y. So if we put x is greater than y, we'll have the value 35. My bad. Okay, so that's what was sort of stumping me up. So if x is greater than y, then you won the contest. What we're going to do after that is just put another if statement and just say if x is less than y, you lose the contest. So basically what our compiler is going to do is it's going to take in them two variables, it's going to run through this one if statement, and it's going to see if it's true or false. So in this case, we already know x is less than 35, so this is going to be a false statement because x is not greater than y. So we're not going to get u in the contest, but if you look, x is less than y, obviously, so we should get the contents in here to print it out on the screen. So when we run this, you lose the contest because x is less than y. Now if I change that to, if I change x to 200, I should win the contest because now obviously x is greater than y, which means I'll get the contents in here. So I can go ahead and run that, and we get you win the contest. So next, what we want to do, just to show you a little bit more about the if statement, is there's a thing called the if-else statement. So the if-else statement says that instead of writing those two things, I can have one condition which says if x is greater than y, then run this stuff, else, which you want to put that at the end of the bracket after the if statement, else run this set of code. So now in this set of statements, you'll get whatever, if this statement becomes false, it will run the else statement. Now if this statement is true, then it'll disregard whatever is in the else statement and it won't run it. So what we'll say is you lose inside of here. Instead of writing two if statements, we can just use this. You lose the contest in the line, and basically x is greater than y, so we're going to get you win the contest. We'll go ahead and print that out. You win the contest. Now what we're going to do is go back to 20. X is not greater than y. So when I run this, you lose the contest because since it ran this and it said, okay, this isn't true, this is a false statement, so I'm going to run whatever's in my else function, which basically means if this argument is false, then we're just going to resort to running the else. So inside of our else statement, all I had was the basic output of you lose the contest, which is what we got right here, And that's what we expected to get right there, because x is in fact less than 35, which is false compared to these parameters. So if I was to change this again to x is less than 35, then I'll get you win the contest again. So you win the contest, and that's basically how you do it. So that's basically how you're going to use the if and the if-else statement. So the if statement is different from using the if-else statement. Remember that. So you can use an if statement by itself, and this would just be fine without the else. But if you want this to run, and then, you know, if that's wrong, something else to run after it, you can use the else function to help along with that. And you can also, again, take the variables, make them declarative, or make the user input the values for x and y, as we did in the past, and just say enter a value for x, and then store that information in the line, and then we're going to store the value for x, of course, in x, and then we can just say cout enter a value for y in that line, and just store that in y. In this way, the user can go ahead, enter their own information here. So enter a value for x, 5, enter a value for y, 3, and since 5 is greater than 3, when we go back to our thing, 5 was stored as x, 3 was stored as y, and x is greater than y, it's not less than y, so I would not get the contents in here because this argument becomes false. And since it's false, we get the else statement. And again, I just wanted to emphasize this to the full extent so you guys understand exactly how this works and exactly how it runs. If you have any questions, post them below. If not, I'll see you in the next video.